Uh, on a more serious note, I want to talk about some of the ramifications that bodybuilding can have on younger people and on just about anyone who gets involved in it. Now, I want to address this because I was at a show and there was a 14-year-old boy, and me and my buddy got to talking yesterday, and he said he kind of advised me not to have this guy follow me on Facebook and talk to me. He may be watching the video. I actually encourage younger individuals to bodybuild. Now, I don't think bodybuilding is a bad thing. I don't think the industry is bad per se. I do think that bodybuilding can potentially bring about its challenges. Being a psych major myself and being what I would say victim, and I mean that loosely, not like a victim. I've been victimized by the sport. Should I say more someone who has been through some of the negatives of bodybuilding and a slew of positives. Now, I'd like to start by saying, if you're watching this video and you do want to start bodybuilding, it has changed my life, and I love the path that I chose, and I enjoy bodybuilding, and it's become a part of me, a big part of me. Like many others in the sport, I think that once you start bodybuilding, you can't stop. Even when you're older, it's embedded, it's ingrained. I've met older bodybuilders or former bodybuilders in the gym. Who knows, they may be watching my videos because I always tell them about this channel, so if they are, awesome. And they don't compete anymore, but I guarantee you that in their minds, they're thinking about them gains. Like the young people would say, you know, them gains, them gains. They're thinking about going to the gym, improving, becoming better, and sometimes it's cause of frustration because, as we all know, as we age, you know, our hormones decline and our health declines and everything declines. So from a sustainability standpoint, bodybuilding in old age just is more and more difficult. And sure, you can go until you're 70, but the 70-year-old bodybuilder likely won't look the same as the version of themselves at 30 years old. Now, there is the exception. We have Dexter Jackson. But don't forget, I mean, I would consider Dexter still relatively young. People are like, wow, he's 40, he looks amazing. Or Tony Freeman, oh, he's almost 50, he looks amazing. This is true. But, you know, up until that point, and these guys have done phenomenal things. I don't think the average person can hit 50 and still look that good. So there comes a point where even these guys are going to decline, and they're not going to be able to look like they did when they were 30, 35, 20, 25. Anyways, so what I wanted to touch on today was a topic I actually studied in university, and that's muscle dysmorphia. And nobody talks about it. I mean, other than these gym gurus who have YouTube channels. I've heard Jerry Ward talk about it. And kudos to Jerry. I really love your video. If you've noticed, I liked it and I commented on your video because it's very real. And his video relates to individuals who use and abuse anabolics and body dysmorphic or muscle dysmorphia. Also, individuals who are into building, and I think he was saying there's a correlation between the drugs and the people who develop muscle dysmorphia. Well, I'm not quite sure if that was the point Jerry was trying to make, but it's actually the other way around, and Jerry may have gotten this wrong, or he may be aware of it and he just didn't, you know, he was loosely correlating it. But I believe the muscle dysmorphia or the body dysmorphic disorder kicks in before use of the drugs. Or, I mean, it's also for individuals who have body dysmorphic disorder, it's also intertwined that it's hard to tell which one's the chicken or the egg. So what's the catalyst? But I can tell you muscle dysmorphia is very real. And according to the DSM, it is now being looked at as a subset of body dysmorphic disorder. The DSM is like the psych Bible, by the way. The DSM-5 is the newest version, and they're looking at this. So when I was in university and I was studying this, or I was taking a look at this, it was not even they were looking at how they would classify it, but it wasn't even near in the final states of DSM. And I don't believe, I'm been doing some research before this video, I don't believe it's actually a disorder in the DSM, but I have found some data and some studies that are indicative that this is actually a subset of BDD now in the DSM, and it pertains to males mostly, which is odd. They don't in the article I've been reading, they don't refer to females with muscle dysmorphia as a body dysmorphic disorder. So of course, if I would have been smart and I would have had a higher GPA and done my thing and kept going, I would probably have studied this and done a thesis paper and kept studying it, because Pope and all, who are researchers you can look up, have some research on body dysmorphic disorder, but it mostly speaks to how it came about and what society contributes to this body dysmorphic disorder. So he's got the G.I. Joe dolls and stuff, which to me isn't very interesting. It's saying that we are in a culture of, body shaming, body imaging, and we are. I mean, with Instagram and everything we have now, we're looking at this kind of thing more and more. But that's not my interest in this. My interest in this is, what are the symptoms? How is it treated? How do we define if someone actually has body dysmorphic disorder, or if they're in this? When I was studying it, it was really hard to to kind of find the difference between the competitor, the athlete, and the person who has body dysmorphic disorder and has some psychopathological functioning that's impairing their function of life. Because the athlete, if you guys know bodybuilders, I mean, most of our habits are listed under this list of symptoms of body dysmorphic disorder, or muscle dysmorphia, subset of BDD. So that being said, I mean, how do you differentiate, whether it's a disease or whether it's a sport, or is the sport the disease? So I still have a lot of questions about body dysmorphic disorder, muscle dysmorphia. But what I can say is muscle dysmorphia is very real. At its worst, it can get very bad. And this is when it's impairing your life. And I usually don't talk about myself, but I did go through a phase where I started working out at Ottawa U, and I just about missed all my exams. In fact, I did, and thank God I explained some of the circumstances, and I was exempt for those exams, and I was able to retake them. So I was very fortunate in that, because that year could have messed my whole university degree up. But I was so involved in the gym, I was so involved in the culture, and I was so involved in, at one point I couldn't leave my house. I couldn't leave my house without wearing a bunch of sweaters. I was like 280 pounds, 290 pounds. I was a big guy. I was trying to bulk up, and it was never big enough. I always felt small. I was a bouncer. Sometimes I'd go into work and would look at everyone, and I'd say, wow, I'm the smallest guy. So I just kept eating and eating and eating. Ironically, it's what kept me from getting in great shape. Now that I'm a bodybuilder, I think, wow, I'm like 200, and my off season I'm 260, and I look infinitely bigger than I did when I was bouncing. Even when I'm on stage at 220, I'm still way larger than I was when I was that guy. Anyways, bodybuilding has, in a sense, so to answer the question of whether it's compulsiveness, the activities bodybuilders do, like the eating. Well, to answer that question, bodybuilding has helped me personally get over the body dysmorphic disorder, the muscle dysmorphia, and now not only do I feel comfortable with my image, but I'm able to go out in a normal shirt, and I don't wear a baggy shirt and not feel all crazy about the way I look. And are people looking at me and perceiving me as small, or am I perceiving myself as small? these feelings have gone away. Plus, it helps when you're bodybuilding. You have to extreme diet, so you have to get used to the fact that you are going to get smaller, a lot smaller, and look a lot smaller. And people will tell you, wow, man, you look so small compared to months ago. You were so big, but now you're really cutting. Or, wow, what happened? Did you get sick? It depends on the person, right? If they don't know about bodybuilding and you're wearing a big shirt, they'll ask you if you got sick, if you stopped working out. So you get pretty used to this stuff, and I think that's a good way to get rid of or muscle dysmorphia. I keep calling it BDD. So I just wanted to read this quickly. This is from an article published from the DSM-5. So muscle dysmorphia, it's one form of body dysmorphic disorder. Muscle dysmorphia occurs almost exclusively in males. Muscle dysmorphia consists of preoccupation with the idea that one's body is insufficiently muscular or lean, or is too small. In reality, these men look normal, or may even be very, very muscular. Not very, very, just very muscular. Many men with muscle dysmorphia attend to meticulous diet, time-consuming workout schedules, which can be cause of bodily damage, and use of anabolic androgenic, scroll up, androgenic steroids and other substances in attempts to get bigger. The relationship between muscle dysmorphia and the forms of body dysmorphic disorder has received limited investigation. One study found that 5 out of 15 bodybuilders with muscle dysmorphia also displayed other more classic BDD symptoms. Other studies found that 9.3 of 193 men, that's 22.2% of 63 men and 25% of 95 men with body dysmorphic disorder had muscle dysmorphia. One of these studies compared men with muscle dysmorphia to men with body dysmorphic but not muscle dysmorphia, finding similarities in demographic features. So BDD severity, delusion of BDD by itself, beliefs, the number of non-muscle related body area concerns. However, these with body dysmorphia were significantly more likely to lift weights excessively, diet and exercise excessively. They also had a poor quality of life and were significantly more likely to attempt suicide. So some of this stuff is pretty scary. I could go on. I'll say one thing. I was never suicidal when I at least I assume I had some set of some form of body dysmorphic disorder. But anyways, this is very real, guys. It's hard to differentiate, and I know they said there's a percentage of bodybuilders, and this is also information from being a bodybuilder myself. Reading this, I'm not really sure. I'd have to read the full study to see how they differentiated, or how they even, you know, I don't know, broke down who was a bodybuilder with muscle dysmorphia and who was a normal, because when they talk about excessive diet schedule and excessive exercise, I think of everyone who's in show prep. I'm sorry, but there's no way around it. It's excessive. It's an excessive sport. So what are your thoughts? I mean, get back to me. Like I said, this is an area of study that's so new that we don't really have much data on it, but it's a very interesting and very real thing. Check Jerry Ward's video out. I'm going to link it in my sublink, because Jerry Ward talks about how he felt and how others wrote to him about the feelings of body dysmorphia and or muscle dysmorphia and what happened, you know, when they lost their muscle and whatnot. So let me know what you think. If you've had experiences of muscle dysmorphia and you think this pertains to you or has pertained to you, I mean, respond, shoot me an email. Let me know if you think it's real. I've been contacted by individuals who've been doing studies on this and surveyed, so I hope my data helped whatever cause or help their thesis projects or their research, because we need more research, guys. So any bodybuilders taking psych, doing their PhD, this is a topic I think we should address and figure out, because it's more important than abuse of any anabolic substances. This is, how do we treat someone who is facing psychological and difficulties, and their life is being impaired by something, not just the substance, but an over-encompassing, ideology, which would be, bodybuilding itself, or fitness, or the fitness industry, and this muscle obsession with muscle.